Imagine two photographs side by side. In the first one, there's you right now, maybe looking out your office window or lying in bed at 2 a.m., feeling that silent emptiness that no promotion seems to fill. In the second photo, you're 18 months ahead, and there's something different in your eyes. It's not arrogance, it's clarity, a calm certainty about where you're going and why. What separates these two images isn't a new degree, isn't a stroke of luck, isn't 5 years of brutal sacrifice that drains your soul. It's something far more surgical and, paradoxically, far more accessible. A specific mental software that prosperous people install in their brains, often without even realizing they've done it. And the question that should be vibrating in your mind right now isn't, how do I get rich quick? But rather, how do I identify and replace the defective mental code that's sabotaging my prosperity at this very moment? Let me tell you something that probably no one has ever validated for you. That feeling of running on an infinite treadmill, where you work harder and harder but the finish line never gets closer. That's not laziness, it's not lack of ambition, and it's definitely not because you're not trying hard enough. It's a symptom, a red warning light flashing on your internal system's dashboard. I remember exactly what it was like, waking up with a weight already on my chest, checking bank accounts with that knot in my stomach, working late, collapsing into bed exhausted, and still feeling like I hadn't done anything truly important. And the worst part, looking at people with half my education making 3 times as much, and not being able to understand what was wrong with me. Here's the truth that took me years to discover. There was nothing wrong with me. There was something wrong with my mental software. So answer me this, and be brutally honest. When was the last time you stopped to question not what you want to achieve, but what you genuinely believe is possible for you? Not what you say out loud to sound ambitious. What you really deeply believe can happen in your life. Because here's what nobody tells you. You can have the most grandiose goals written in a beautiful journal. You can repeat affirmations in the mirror every morning. You can watch 1,000 motivational videos. But if deep down, at the subconscious level where real decisions happen, you don't believe that's for you, your brain will sabotage every move, not out of malice, out of protection. Your brain has one job, keep you alive. And to the primitive brain, everything new and unknown is potentially dangerous. So it creates what neuroscientists call negativity bias, a mental filter that makes you automatically focus on everything that could go wrong, on every reason why people like you don't achieve things like that. And here's the cruel trick. This filter is invisible. You don't see it operating. You only feel the consequences, the inexplicable procrastination, the self-sabotage at crucial moments, that internal voice that always has a perfectly rational excuse for why today isn't the day. That emptiness you feel? It's not the absence of success. It's the internal conflict between who you want to become and who your mental software was programmed to keep you being. And recognizing this isn't the end. It's literally the awakening. It's the moment you stop fighting symptoms and start diagnosing the root cause. Now let's dive deep into the anatomy of what really traps people in cycles of scarcity. And warning, some of these truths are going to be uncomfortable. There's a neuroscience discovery that changes everything when you truly understand it. Approximately 95% of your daily decisions are made by your subconscious. Let that sink in. 95%. That means you're operating on autopilot almost all the time, running programs that were installed years, maybe decades, ago. And here's the problem. Most of those programs were written by people who, with all due respect and love, never achieved the level of prosperity you're pursuing. Think about it. When you were 6 years old and heard, "Money doesn't grow on trees," what did your child brain register? That money is scarce, difficult, something to be feared as much as desired. When you heard rich people are greedy, your subconscious created an association: financial prosperity, immorality. And if you're a fundamentally good person, your brain will protect you from becoming one of those. This isn't abstract psychological theory. It's the concrete reason why intelligent, hardworking, talented people get stuck on financial plateaus that make no logical sense. Carol Dweck, a professor at Stanford, dedicated over 3 decades to studying the difference between people who stagnate and people who evolve exponentially. And she discovered something revolutionary. It's not about IQ, it's not about initial privilege, it's not about luck. It's about something she called mindset. There are 2 types, the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. The fixed mindset operates like this: I am who I am. My abilities are limited. Some are born with a talent for money, others aren't. I'm probably in the second group. Every failure is evidence of your fundamental inadequacy. Every success of others is confirmation of your inferiority. The growth mindset operates completely differently. I am who I choose to become through deliberate practice. Skills are developed, not inherited. Failure is feedback, not identity. Others' success is a map of what's possible. And here's the shock that Dweck documented in hundreds of studies. People with a growth mindset aren't more intelligent, don't have more resources, didn't have easier lives. They simply operate with different mental software. And that software can be reinstalled. But first, you need to uninstall the old one. Harv Eker, after years studying the psychology of wealth, identified something he called the money blueprint, an internal financial thermostat that each person carries. It works like this. Let's say your internal blueprint says you're worth $50,000 a year. You might make $80,000, but mysteriously, your expenses will increase, you'll make irrational purchases, or you might even lose your job. Because your subconscious is uncomfortable operating outside your blueprint. It's like an air conditioning thermostat set to 72 degrees. If the temperature rises to 77, the system kicks in to cool. If it drops to 68, the system heats. The goal isn't comfort, it's consistency with the programming. And here's the scary part. This blueprint was installed primarily before you were 7 years old, when your brain was in theta waves, essentially in a hypnotic state, absorbing everything without critical filter. You heard your father say, "We don't have money for that," 50 times. You saw your mother anxious every time bills arrived. You felt the tension in the house when money was mentioned. And your child brain concluded, money, stress, anxiety, conflict. Better not have too much of it. This isn't a moral judgment of your parents. They did the best they could with the mental software they inherited. But now you have a choice they may never have had. You can consciously reprogram this blueprint. If this content is starting to connect dots you'd never seen before, like the video now, comment with the word clarity and follow the channel. Because what comes next are the concrete pillars of a wealth mindset, and they're going to contradict much of what you were taught. Speaking of deep reprogramming, we've detailed a 5-step method for uninstalling limiting beliefs in the ebook, The Absolute Focus System, which has a special link here in the first comment. It's the technical step-by-step of what we're exploring here. But before you run off to apply techniques, you need to understand the foundation, the pillars that support all genuine prosperity mindset. So let's build the cathedral. And like any structure that will last generations, we start with the foundation. Napoleon Hill spent 20 years, 2 entire decades, interviewing over 500 of America's most successful men, including Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison. And he distilled everything into one fundamental truth that most people read, but never truly absorb. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But listen, this isn't naive optimism, it's a statement about the nature of human reality. Because here's what Hill really discovered. The difference between people who build empires and people who work in empires isn't raw intelligence. It's the ability to maintain a clear and intense mental image of the desired outcome, even when all external evidence suggests impossibility. It's what he called burning desire, not a casual wish, not a "wouldn't it be nice if," but a mental obsession so vivid that your brain begins to reorganize all your perception to identify pathways to it. Think of it this way. Your brain is essentially a pattern-seeking machine. If you program that machine with a clear image of scarcity, you'll find scarcity on every corner. If you program it with abundance, opportunities that always existed suddenly become visible. It's not mystical manifestation, it's directed attention. But here's the pillar nobody mentions: absolute clarity about your why. Simon Sinek popularized this in a business context, but the truth runs much deeper. When your why is superficial, I want to be rich to buy cool stuff, your brain knows it's insufficient. And when things get tough, you quit. Because cool stuff doesn't sustain you when you're at 3 a.m. redoing a presentation for the 5th time. But when your why is connected to something bigger, I want to build wealth to ensure my children never feel the financial anxiety I felt, or I want to create freedom to pursue work that truly matters. That's nuclear fuel. Because now it's not about you. It's about something greater than your momentary comfort. And the human brain is extraordinarily resilient when there's true purpose involved. James Clear revolutionized our understanding of change with a simple but devastating concept. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Let me translate that in terms of wealth mindset. Having a goal to be a millionaire is useless. What matters is having the system of thinking, deciding, and acting of someone who inevitably becomes a millionaire. And that system is built from repeated micro-actions, atomic habits, as Clear calls them, that compounded over time create a new identity. Every time you choose to invest instead of spending impulsively, you're not just saving money. You're voting for the identity of financially strategic person. Every time you dedicate an hour to learning a skill that increases your market value, you're voting for the identity of person in continuous growth. And eventually, the internal democracy decides, this is who you are now. But here's the final pillar, and perhaps the most critical: recalibrating your relationship with risk. People trapped in a scarcity mindset see risk as something to be avoided at all costs. Safety is the supreme value, and that makes sense when you're operating from a place of survival. But people with genuine wealth mindset understand something counterintuitive. The biggest risk isn't failing. It's never trying and spending the next 40 years wondering, what if? They're not reckless. They're calculated. They make smart bets, manage downside, but don't paralyze in the presence of uncertainty. Because here's the truth that school never teaches. All significant wealth was built through some form of calculated risk. Investing is risk. Entrepreneurship is risk. Changing careers to something more lucrative is risk. Even asking for a raise is risk. And if you're never willing to feel uncomfortable, you're guaranteeing you'll remain exactly where you are. So these are the pillars: burning desire with clear purpose, systems over goals, identity transformation through micro-actions, and recalibration of your relationship with risk. Simple? Yes. Easy? Absolutely not. Because knowing these pillars intellectually changes nothing. It's like knowing the ingredients of a cake, but never turning on the oven. And that's exactly why video 2 of this series exists. Because now that you understand what needs to change, the anatomy of limiting mindset and the pillars of wealth mindset, the obvious next question is, how do I make this reprogramming happen at the deepest level? How do I literally rewrite the neural circuits that have been built over decades? How do I install new habits that actually last? How do I transform knowledge into permanent change? That's where science meets practice, where neuroplasticity becomes a tool, where you stop consuming information and start implementing transformation. In the next video of the series, The Transformation, we'll dive into the exact step-by-step of how to break old neural patterns and install new ones, with techniques based on neuroscience, not temporary motivation. You'll discover the mental reprogramming process that high performers use to change their reality in 90 days or less. But before you go, I need you to do something crucial right now. If you made it this far, you're no longer the same person who started this video. Something changed. Maybe it's just a seed still, but seeds are how every forest begins. You now understand that the emptiness wasn't about lack of effort. It was about internal conflict between old programming and the version of you that's trying to emerge. You now see limiting beliefs not as absolute truths, but as defective software that can be replaced. You now know the pillars: burning desire, systems over goals, identity through micro-actions, and calculated risk as catalyst. But knowledge without action is just entertainment. And I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to transform you. So here's your first mission. And it's not optional if you really want change. Go to the comments now and answer this question with brutal honesty. What is the limiting belief about money that I inherited and that's sabotaging me right now? Not a generic answer. Something specific. Something that hurts a little to admit. Because the act of naming the belief is the first step to disarming its power over you. And when you declare it publicly, you activate a neurological commitment that your brain takes seriously. And if this journey is resonating with you, if you felt that clarity beginning to cut through the mental fog, do 3 things now. First, like this video, so the algorithm shows this to more people who need this awakening. Second, follow the channel because video 2 will be released soon, and you won't want to miss the step-by-step of neural reprogramming. Third, share with one person you know is stuck in the same cycle. Sometimes the most generous thing you can do is wake someone who's sleepwalking. And remember, this is the awakening phase. You're seeing the matrix now. You understand the code that was running in the background. But seeing the matrix isn't enough. In the next episode, you learn to reprogram it. See you on the other side, where clarity isn't just a concept, but your new default operating system. The awakening has happened. Now comes the transformation.